ChatGPT has recently been blowing up the internet, and it can do all kinds of crazy things, from crazy math to crazy science. But the question I have today is, can it do something as simple as building a base in Minecraft? So I'm literally just going to come over here to ChatGPT, and I'm going to type in a prompt for it to give me a base. All right, and here's the prompt. It's a really simple looking thing, and so we are just going to go ahead and press enter and let it generate, and meanwhile I am going to go and start building it in Minecraft. And alright, so here is the final build, and you can tell it looks, well, to be honest, it looks kind of lame. And that's just generally because ChatGPT did not give me very many detailed instructions. You can see that I asked it for a block-by-block tutorial, but it really only gave me just some general outlines of what I would generally want to use. And just some like very basic steps. I also didn't understand, like for the roof, like start at the center of your base for the roof. I did that, as you can see in the time lapse, but like, who does this? No one does that anyways. But it was just, I followed it very specifically and to the letter, so you might give me grief like, oh, Bonanza, it wanted you to be creative with it, not specifically following your instructions. I asked for something just to follow the instructions, so you have to forgive me. But yeah, it told me to add banners, so I added banners. I added banners like all over the place. I added flower pots, because it told me I added flower pots. I added a bunch of armor stands, and I evenly spaced all of the windows, because that's what it asked for as well. I built it 12 by 12, just like it wanted, and it told me to sprinkle in like planks and slabs in with the roof. Like, why? I don't understand. I am very confused. I also didn't do an overhang on the roof because it didn't tell me to do an overhang on the roof. And I did build the walls up like 5 blocks to the start because it didn't tell me how far. But then since I started in the middle, there's obviously no way for me to like gauge. So I just went like 2 blocks higher, 1 block higher than the walls were. And then I had to cut down the walls because, again, it did not give me a very good instruction in this sense. So I'm going to try one more time with hopefully a bit more detailed prompt. I'm going to tell it, look, ChatGPT, you absolutely have to give me exact specific instructions because that's all I'm going to follow. I'm not going to be creative at all. And so we'll see what it gives us with that. Alright, so here we are with our second prompt over here, and you can see I definitely went a bit harder down on please give me exact instructions. Please tell me exactly what to do, and don't just say, hey, build a base that's like this size and use these blocks. Because that's generally what I did last time, but hopefully this time it will give us way more specific instructions. So we're just going to send this, and I'm going to start building again. So that honestly took way longer than it probably should have, but it's done now, and I honestly think it looks better than I expected to. It was honestly looking pretty bad there for a while, but then once it had me add in some of the details like the pillars and the windows and stuff like that, it definitely actually came out to be a bit better. So I think ChatGPT did a pretty good job on this one. There was a little bit of weirdness, but generally it's honestly kind of a pretty cool build. And you can see that I did kind of change the rules a little bit. I asked a few clarifying questions about some of the stuff because it didn't specify everything that I needed to know. But I do think this is a solid way of doing this if you didn't want to be creative and you wanted it to just make your own stuff. So I did go ahead and ask it for some suggestions and stuff like that. It did get confused a couple of times. Like, for instance, over here it was talking about shingles for the roof, which there are no shingles in Minecraft, so I do not know what was up with that. And so I had to remind it a couple times, like with this final prompt down here. I restated that it was a medieval Minecraft base, just so that it knew, because it was straying a little bit away and sounded like it was just talking about medieval architecture at that point, which sounded kind of weird and wasn't really what I was going for at this point. And there are a couple weird things with the bridge over here. Like, it didn't tell me where to put the bridge. Well, it told me to attach the bridge to the tower, like between the tower and the building, but it didn't tell me that I needed to build the tower away from the building at the start. So I was like, oh, that was kind of bad. So it might be my bad. I might have misdone the instructions a little bit, but I didn't know when I was starting that I should do that. But it didn't even tell me what to make the bridge out of either. So I asked it, and it told me to make it out of this stuff and then add leaves. And so I think that this on it, and vines and flowers, but I don't know how I was going to put flowers on this. But this bridge is honestly the coolest part of this entire build, and it's because ChatGPT gave me like an entire response just dedicated to this part. So honestly, if you were wanting to do a project like this, probably go ahead and ask it for like each part individually, have it give you a general structure and then specify on each part, and then you will actually get a better result, because again, this bridge is definitely the best looking part of this entire thing. But there are some other cool parts like this over here. This was pretty cool. I like the idea of putting the planks and the logs out here. I also like the idea of these things, although it was really annoying to have to put all the levers underneath there. That's what it told me to do, and so I did it, but it was very frustrating. The roof, I'm not the most proud of this roof, to be honest. It's not the greatest roof ever. But it serves its purpose. Is it even symmetrical? You know what? I'm not even gonna worry about if it's symmetrical or not. It's not a great roof, but I went back and forth with ChatGPT a bunch of times. It was being wishy-washy. Didn't want to pick a type of roof to do. I couldn't figure out if it wanted me to do a straight roof or a curved roof or anything like that. So I just kind of figured it out and went with it. And this kind of roof doesn't really work on this kind of scale. But I went with it anyways because that's what I thought ChatGPT wanted. It also never even told me to make like a door or anything like that. There's no actual way to get into this building, and there's nothing on the interior either. It didn't tell me to do anything with that. So I guess this is just a for looks base. But I do think it generally looks pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. It's definitely not a bad looking base. And so I think you can honestly give it a little bit of respect. It's not the most creative thing. Like, it's literally just a square, and then this tower is a square with a not square roof, which I thought was interesting. But it's just a square, which is not what you should do with a Minecraft build. But the details and stuff that it suggested are honestly pretty good. I'm not gonna complain at all with that. I honestly think it's pretty good. So maybe if you made a base but then wanted suggestions on how you can improve it, that would honestly be the better option, maybe. But I do think it could maybe be an option, could maybe help. Yeah, it's not great, but it's not terrible. So both of the buildings that ChatGPT has had us made so far have looked really, really boxy, but we're going to change that, or at least we're going to try to fit in with what it wants, because we are now going to ask it for a modern style build, which are usually boxy anyways. So we'll see how this works. So with this prompt, I didn't do anything fancy, just a basic set of instructions, really basic. I'm not going to go over the top like I did last time. Hopefully it gives me a bit of a small thing this time, and I'm going to start building. Alright, so this is how the base ended up turning out, and to be honest, it is still a box. They didn't fix that, but what he did fix is this one was way more detailed. It had like, it actually had me make an interior, which is really cool. It had me put like bushes and trees and statues, which this is my best statue. Okay, give me a little bit of slack over here. But this one, like, it told me to embellish, and I embellished, okay? And I think this is honestly what it's best for. If I had followed this thing to the T, right, we probably wouldn't have used spruce here. We probably would have used oak. There wouldn't have been these dark oak trees. It would have been like, oh, what kind of trees do you want me to use? What kind of wood should I use? How big should the base be? What should I make it out of? I'm still kind of skeptical of the cobblestone that they used for that and stuff. But honestly, with all the decoration that I did in addition to just the house, that is what brought it all together, and that's what brings any base together, is the extra things that you add on. And this thing told me, it was like, okay, add some things like couches and a bedroom and storage and stuff. And so I just started putting things down. It didn't tell me to put trapdoors. It didn't tell me to use this as a sink. It didn't tell me to put paintings. It didn't tell me to put a pot. And so if I had followed it to the letter, it wouldn't have worked. But I think that the best thing that you can do with this kind of thing with ChatGPT, if you want ChatGPT to help you with your building, it still needs to be your building. And that is honestly, I think, the biggest thing that you want to take away from this, is that with all of these things, if I had just followed it to the T, like I did with this one, and done only exactly what it told me to do, then you don't end up with a very good base at all. It's very trash. But if you kind of embellish, if you ask it just for some guidelines, say, hey, this is what I built, can you give me some tips on improving my build, or something like that, that is where ChatGPT shines. That is where it actually is insane and really, really helps. Because again, look at all this. This isn't all stuff that ChatGPT told me to do, right? And again, as I said, the best part was this, that I asked it specifically about. So if you are wondering, like, okay, I've got this modern build that I have, I made a base, but it looks kind of bland. How can you fix that? Then that would help. In fact, we're going to do a test with that real quick. So I'm going to go over here and start a new chat. And I'm just going to ask it something like this. This is exactly what I want you to do. Something like this. If you are having trouble with your building, do not ask ChatGPT for an entire tutorial just for you on how to do it. Okay, this is not the strategy. The strategy is use the building skills that you have and have ChatGPT enhance them. Because if I send this out right here, this thing is going to give me some probably really good tips. Like, look at this. Number 1, use natural materials. Instead of using man-made materials like cobblestone or bricks, try using wood, stone, and other materials you can find in the taiga biome. This will help your house blend into the environment and look more natural. That is phenomenal advice. Do what ChatGPT says. Number 2, add details. Details can make a big difference in the overall look of your house. Consider adding things like windows, shutters, a chimney, a porch to make your house look more interesting and inviting. Again, that is really great advice. Number 3, vary the roof line. A simple flat roof can make your house look boring and uninteresting. Try adding a peaked roof instead of a sloped roof to add some visual interest. Again, another great tip right here. This is exactly the stuff that I would tell you if you asked me the same thing. Use different textures. Experiment with different textures and depth to add interest to your house. For example, you can add stripped logs, planks, and stairs to create a more interesting facade. Again, great tips. All of these are great tips. Same for the landscaping and same for the lighting. These are all really, really good tips. And if you follow all of these, it's not telling you exactly what to do, right? Place this block here, place this other block here, right? You've still got to experiment. You still got to grow on your own. But these are the kind of things that make a good builder. Being a good builder is not about whether or not you can place blocks in Minecraft. Everyone can do that. Being a good builder is about knowing what will make your builds look better. What is going to help you to have like fit into environments more, have you do good landscaping stuff. And some of that does come with, yeah, where does placing blocks look good, where does a block not look good. But a lot of it is just knowledge of what generally looks good and what generally doesn't. And that is exactly where ChatGPT can help you a ton. So the answer to the question is yes, ChatGPT can help you build a base, but you have to be the one building the base. ChatGPT cannot build a base by itself. And so, yeah, that's generally all there is to say. If you want to become a better builder in Minecraft, ChatGPT can definitely help you out with that. But a lot of it is just going to come around from goofing around inside your worlds and experimenting, and maybe having ChatGPT give you some better ideas for some creative challenges if you want to test yourself to become better. But if you were just looking for some good old experience at where to place the blocks, Minecraft is for you. But if you want some ideas, if you're having some mental block, then ChatGPT can definitely help you out. But without further ado, I am going to wrap this video up. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time.